Get your official Toshi merch, join my private network, and check out my courses linked in the description and bio. All right, y'all, so we are back with another Toshi video, and this one we're gonna be talking about something interesting. I saw a really good comment of someone with a valid concern, a valid criticism, and they were kind of like, you know, they're kind of on the fence about where they think Toshi can go, and they think that Toshi needs to bring a little bit more to the table. And I just wanted to give my opinion and my perspective on this, because it is a pretty common take right now. I get the fears, like, especially if you understand how quickly people are moving on from one project, jumping on to the next and stuff like that. Pump Fund has created a culture like that, where it's from one pump and dump to the next pump and dump to the next pump and dump. And that's what I think is so special about Toshi. That's what I think is so special about Base and what Coinbase is building. That's actually what made me convert, because it's not news to me how quickly people move on from project to project to project. That's what made me choose Base in the first place. I spent tens of thousands of dollars over on Solana. Like, I was one of those. I was just right there, right along with everybody else, man. Like, I've been through the whole process. That's what introduced me to the game. So that being said, what Base is actually doing is building for the future, and building for the future takes time. They're not really, they don't care about the short-term turbulence, like the short-term fluctuations and things like that. It's about as long as this is going to be net positive in the long run. So everyone is focused on, oh, that's blowing up there, this is blowing up there, people aren't going to hold this long enough, they got paper hands and all of this stuff. That's a short-term mindset, looking at all the fluctuations, and that's not how millionaires and very wealthy people think. Like, you got to realize this is a game for the poor and the manipulators, the influencers who's not necessarily poor, but they're still broke enough to have to be out here manipulating and doing the stuff that they're doing. Like, them taking your $100 from you, them taking your $500 from you, that's a big deal to them. So they're not necessarily poor, but what we look for, when we're looking for real opportunity, we need to look for where the big dogs is playing, where your money ain't that deep if they miss out on your money. Like, they have bigger goals, bigger aspirations, and bigger ambitions. And that is what Base is shooting for. Everybody over on Solana is all broke, and everybody's trying to squeeze every $500, $200 out of all these people. Meanwhile, you got Base, they came out, Coinbase has actually come out and said they're trying to onboard $1 trillion into the ecosystem. So at the point where they're seriously trying to onboard $1 trillion into the ecosystem, do you think your little $500 or $200 actually matters to them? Now, obviously, realistically, everything adds up. So it is important, but grand scheme of things, you're not their target audience. You're not the one that they're trying to go all out of their way to screw over. These influencers and KOLs who only need your money that throw onto the pile, like, yes, they need you. So my point is this: when it comes down to actually seeing the value, what's going on with Toshi and how it's actually changing the industry, and how Base is actually changing the industry, is that Toshi is one of those things that you can hold, because they're still building a Base ecosystem, they're still building up the platform. And kind of how I touched on in the video yesterday, where I'm talking about all these Base tokens that can't even get listings, and they're claiming that they're number one and things like that. You get legitimized after you get a listing. That's when you know that companies have dug into you. They've dug into the owners of the projects. They've really dug in deep, and they've cleared you of any suspicion. That is how you get listed. And I think that happens even more strictly when it comes down to Base's own assets, because they have their own reputation to maintain. This is Coinbase, the biggest exchange in America. This is Coinbase, like the onboarding ramp for the United States government. And the fact that it's an onboarding ramp is very, very important as well. You know how when Fortnite was coming out, the first battle royale genre, it's like when you thought of the name battle royale, you had to think of Fortnite, because Fortnite was the one coming out making all that noise. Basically, how meme coins is going to be moving, and everyone essentially using cryptocurrency and that being the new currency of the world, because that is what's happening right now. They're currently building the systems for cryptocurrency to be the currency of the world. US dollar and stuff like that, it is slowly moving away. And if you're not educating yourself on the fact that the entire world is changing right now before your eyes, you're going to be left behind. You're going to have no choice, and the people who have no choice and they're forced to be onboarded into this, that's what's going to be making us all the money. All the people who have been here collecting, sitting here waiting patiently, once the government starts to clamp down and force everyone to buy this stuff, not now, keep in mind, Toshi is not so significant that they're going to be forcing people to buy Toshi. Not at all. It's not that significant. There are cryptocurrencies that are that significant, and this is the stuff that I go over in my private network. I explain why certain cryptos are that important. Certain cryptos is pillars in this, but Toshi is one of those things that if Coinbase is going to be the onboarding ramp, they want a lot of people on base. Toshi is one of those things that, hey, you want to gamble? Like, look, we have Toshis plastered all over the front of Coinbase. Look at this. You getting onboarded for some government stuff, but look at this. You can see Toshi and be a part of this community too. Like, that's what we're betting on. We're banking on Toshi being used to, like, Coinbase is just the onboarding ramp. It's not as significant as certain other pieces, but what Coinbase wants to kind of do is siphon some of that traffic and bring it over to Base and use Base as a, as the platform to onboard a lot more people into crypto. So we're hoping to get some of that clout and attention that comes from regulatory clarity and people going after the real projects, and they want to make their first introduction into meme coins. You know how Doge was at one point in time, a lot of people's first introduction into meme coins? Doge was that for a lot of people. Now that we have regulatory clarity and things like that, I think what's the best positioned asset right now, most likely to be that right now for with this governmental clarity and regulational clarity and things like that. What's the most likely project to do that? And Toshi just aligns. It aligns on all fronts, because Coinbase is the platform that is going to do it. Coinbase is the biggest and the most trusted, especially in America. And America is going to be the crypto capital of the world. America is building the crypto capital of the world. These is facts. It can't really be disputed. This is what Trump is in office doing right now. So if you understand what's happening right now, you realize that, okay, even though Coinbase isn't rushing to boost their assets and pump their assets right now, they're still building the ecosystem. They're building the ramps. They're putting everything in position to explode in the future. Now, at what point in the future? I don't know. Could it be the next month? Yes, it could. Could it be the next 6 months? Could it be the next year? We don't know exactly when they're going to pull the trigger. All we do know is that they're building they're constantly building so that when they actually do pull that trigger, the explosion is insane. Their exact words is that we're gonna hit that $1 trillion quicker than anybody could imagine, quicker than anybody can realize. Like, that's their goal. Their goal is to bring $1 trillion into the Base ecosystem, and it'll happen sooner than anyone realizes. That's from them. So I think Base is definitely, or Toshi is positioned very well, being the meme coin face of Base. Like, that's just what it is. There's nothing else that can actually claim that it's the face. Like, you have other things with manipulated market caps that may be bigger and things like that, but no, nothing else that can actually say it has the same history as Toshi. And when people dig more into the history, they'll learn that. And it's a reason that Toshi is on Coinbase. Meanwhile, people are arguing that other market caps are more significant, yet it can't even get listed on Coinbase. It doesn't matter what the people think. The institutions will only back and support certain types of things. And best believe it won't be these things manipulated by influencers. Influencers are saying things that make sense to the people that they're trying to run scams on. Like, that's what they're doing. But the people with money, they'll easily dig into these clowns and realize what they're trying to pull and ignore them. And then they'll be sitting here crying about every project getting listed and why their project isn't getting listed. And it's because nobody with money is falling for that. It don't matter how many poor people you trick with this, You're not going to trick the big dogs with it. So that is why it's important to watch the big dogs and stop thinking you know everything and watching what you feel should happen, what you think should happen. Your thoughts, your emotions, what you feel doesn't matter in the slightest. And you start to perfect this game when you get out of your own way and you watch the people who do matter. Look at the people with money. Look at what they're trying to build. Look at what they're trying to do. Look at how they're approaching this game and understand why they're approaching this game in that manner. That is when you really start to awaken and you really start to see the game for what it is. And this is when you can actually win the game. You can win the game once you start to understand the rules and you understand who matters. All the influencers, all the KOLs, all the people sitting here talking with the loudest mouths every day, none of them are important. I'm not important. I'm literally, this is why when you come to my content, I'm directing you to the people who matter. I'm like, bro, look at what BlackRock is doing. Look at what JP Morgan is doing. I'm showing y'all where to look. I am completely irrelevant. I am insignificant in all of this just as much as any of us is. And this is why I have my focus on the people who aren't, the players who's trying to move these markets where they need it to be. And once you can identify where they're trying to move markets, why they're doing it, it's a big rabbit hole that you have to go down to have the knowledge. And this is stuff that I cover in my private network, by the way. I have a lot of posts really educating. Like, this all started with them deciding not to have the dollar tied to gold anymore. This has been coming for a very long time right now. This all started long ago. So people are looking at the short term here and now, price fluctuations, looking at Bitcoin like, oh, is it the end? Is it a scam? And all of this stuff. People were never able to see the long game because they've been so busy focused on a bunch of other stuff that's always been irrelevant. You have to learn the game as a whole. There is no shortcut to fully educating yourself, because when you're fully educated, that's when you can actually understand what's going on, why it's going on, and how you should be positioning yourself and your finances to make sure you can profit and benefit from what's happening right now. So that being said, in my opinion, Toshi is still positioned very, very well for some great growth in the future and some great explosions coming up here. But I kind of ran on a rant in this video, basically explaining my thoughts and my perspective on how I see things. We do have more content coming soon. I just wanted to make it clear the things that I'm seeing, the perspective I have, and why I'm still holding Toshi, why it's not even a thought for me to get out of Toshi or anything like that. This is why I take the stance that I'm taking. I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I know most people are not. When you're losing money, when you're in a tough spot, it's very hard to keep your head on straight. It's very hard to just free your mind and ignore all the noise and all of it's difficult to do that. I know how difficult it is, especially when money is involved. So if I know that 99% of the world is incapable of doing something, and that is what I specialize in, it's like, why would I value what someone else says or thinks over myself? I know that they aren't capable of doing what I do. So why would I care what conclusions they draw? And this is why it's important for you to learn skill, educate yourself, surround yourself with the right people, and have the right information. That way you can develop the skill and you'll develop the confidence to move based on your own interpretations. And also, you can't be scared of losing as well, because that's the difference between me and a lot of people too. I don't want people following me and doing my exact moves and things like that because I say so. I want people learning the things that I know and seeing if you draw the same conclusion and understand and see if you see it the same way, because that's more validating for me. If you're thinking for yourself and you see the same thing, then you're just trying to follow me. Because at the end of the day, if something that I think is coming ends up being wrong, I can handle that. I can see, okay, where in my analysis and my thought process did I go wrong? How did I come to that conclusion? How was I so wrong? And I can correct that. But if you don't have your own process and your own conclusion anyway, you can't go and fix your process because you never had one to begin with. This is why it's more important to learn the skill, because nobody can take the skill of understanding and knowledge away from you. Nobody can take that from you. So no matter if you have $0, no matter if you have $10 billion, if you know what to do, if you know how the game is played, you can always use what you know to keep making money. That's what it's all about. So yeah, let me know what you all think. Be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out, fam.